In English, there is an expression called Hobson's choice. It's when it looks like you have options, but really there is only one choice available. Today, we are going to check if students in Indian schools are facing a similar situation when it comes to choosing languages as a subject. The new education policy says clearly no language should be forced on students. Not Hindi, not Sanskrit, not even English. This is quite a change from earlier policies which pushed for Hindi in states where it's not commonly spoken. The earlier policy had also preferred South Indian languages as a third language for schools in the Hindi belt. But what's happening on the ground? Do students in the north really have the option of learning South Indian languages? Let's look at the facts. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Data Point. First off, we have a big problem. There isn't enough recent data available to properly discuss this issue. Last month, DMK MP Kanimozhi asked a question in the parliament. Which languages are being taught across Indian schools and how many students study them? But the government's reply didn't give any specifics. They just shared how many schools follow the three language formula without naming any specific language or giving the student numbers. Why was this data missing? Is it because the government doesn't collect it? Actually, they do. Every year, schools across India must fill in something called the UDIS form, which asks schools to list the languages they teach and how many students study each language. In fact, data on 75 such languages is collected. So, if the data is being collected, why was it not shared in the parliament? Not just in the parliament, but UDIS has not made this data public even on its website. Apart from the annual reports, UDIS also shares microdata which includes a list of figures available for public use. They share the medium of instruction data but leave out specific languages taught. This creates a problem. The government knows exactly what languages are taught in Indian schools, but the public doesn't. This lack of transparency makes it hard for us to debate language policies. But let's look at what we do have. The last detailed data we could access was from the 2009 All India School Education Survey, which again wasn't made public officially, but the Hindu accessed a copy of the report through sources in the Education Ministry. And even that data is limited to the primary stage of schooling, with data for higher standards missing. Still, this data is useful to arrive at some important conclusions. Here is what the 2009 survey shows. In Bihar, almost every school taught Hindi, 64% taught English, and 56% taught Sanskrit in the primary stage. Just 8% offered other languages. In Uttar Pradesh, again nearly all schools taught Hindi, 75% taught English, 65% taught Sanskrit, and only 7% taught other languages in the primary stage. In Uttarakhand, the pattern continues. 99.5% taught Hindi, 85.5% taught English, 79% Sanskrit, but just around 2.6% taught other languages. Clearly, in these Hindi-speaking states, the third language was overwhelmingly Sanskrit. This is important because the 1968 policy had suggested teaching a South Indian language as the third option, but none of these states were able to follow this. Is anything different today? Ground reports suggest not much has changed. In Himachal Pradesh, education officials told the Hindu that in the past 15 years, no students enrolled for languages like Tamil, Telugu or French because there was no teachers. In the state, Punjabi and Urdu teaching positions remain largely vacant, but Sanskrit teaching positions are plenty and very few are vacant. Let's look at the numbers. In Himachal Pradesh, there are 100 sanctioned Punjabi teaching posts, of which 34% are vacant. 100 sanctioned Urdu teaching posts, of which 71% are vacant. and 5,078 Sanskrit teaching posts, of which only 9.8% are vacant. In Uttar Pradesh, the story is similar. Education officials said to the Hindu that they currently have just one student studying Malayalam, three students studying Tamil, and five students studying Kannada. And even these students are private candidates, that is, they study on their own to prepare for the school exams. So, here are the three key questions. Why is the government collecting detailed language data taught in schools but not sharing it publicly? The 2009 data clearly shows that in Hindi speaking states, Sanskrit remains the default choice for a third language, with hardly anyone choosing southern languages. Ground reports show schools still can't find teachers for southern languages while many Sanskrit teachers are available. So, are students really getting to choose any language of their choice, or is it a Hobson's choice? Government must release the recent data on languages taught in schools to answer this question. Thank you for watching this video. For more such videos, subscribe to The Hindu.